The number 23 was recommended or requested, should I say, by Peter Benavente, who we've talked about on this channel enough times. Now, seeing signs and coincidences and stuff like that, I do find this to be kind of ironic because I just reviewed for Slasher Sunday See No Evil. Now, I write on notebooks and I'll do the full one side of a notebook, page after page after page, and then when I'm done with it, I'll flip the thing around, and then I'll go backwards and do page by page by page by page. And so this time, I was doing that, and so I have my See No Evil notes here, and then I went to go look at my number 23 notes, which was on the previous page, before that. But the page that I did next to this in the last time, which would have been months ago now, because this is like halfway through the book, before I would have then turned it back around and went back the opposite. So literally right next to it is No One Lives, which both of these are WWE movies, and they're the only two WWE movies I've ever done on the channel. And I was just talking about No One Lives in that review, being like, oh man, this is WWE, but you can see here, first note WWE, and then first note here, WWE. That's fucking bizarre. And as I said, like, not only is that weird, but then as I'm looking for my notes about a movie, about seeing coincidences and patterns and whatnot. Wow. Anyway. All right, moving on. So yeah. Oh, where the hell are my notes? I got off track there. All right. So the number 23, directed by Joel fucking Schumacher. Holy hell! And this was after the Batman films. So we got Jim Carrey here in a serious role. Now, of course, this is his first serious role, and I do like him as a serious actor. Now, overall, I thought this movie is fine, and I have seen it before. I think where I don't like this movie is in the Sin City-esque noir fantasy sequences where he's seeing the book come to life. That all seems very silly to me. None of it plays artistic or edgy or, as I said, kind of like a detective noir. It all feels very silly. And so that I feel like that hurt because everything else, like when he's in his real life, it kind of reminded me a little bit of the movie Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon, which I absolutely love. But just kind of his obsessive nature and him like running around the house and trying to figure all these things out and connecting these and that. It just kind of had that feel to it. But yeah, the fantasy sequences felt like a Sin City wannabe in color that just didn't play tonally the way that I would have liked it because it felt silly. So I think that's where my problems lie within this movie. Now he's an animal control worker. I don't know what to call these guys. And now, what is this movie really? Is it, because you could take it in one way, and I think this is another issue I have with the film. I think the film is too unclear of what is actually happening in here. Because I think the way that this film could have played better is if it was left open on if the number 23 actually dictated things or he was just seeing what he wanted to see. And the reason I say that that's not how this played out is because it really does kind of suggest that there is something don't know if sinister would be the right word, but the number 23 does seem to have something going to it, and it almost seems like either fate or something otherworldly, supernatural, whatnot. Because you have the dog, and it's leading him to a grave, and everybody else sees this dog, so it's not like it's just in his head, from what I could tell. And because that's just it. Like, if he would have just been remembering what he had done in the past, I don't know how that would play, though. As I said, I think that this should have had that open-ended, ambiguous ending where it's like, was his obsessiveness with the number 23 what led to him there, or did the number 23 actually mean something and lead him there on purpose? Like, but that's not how this film played for me. I feel like this is an absolute something is at work here. The number 23 does have a meaning because it's driven multiple men crazy in the film now. And then the connections didn't play super well for me either. The reveal of him being the killer and the dude that was locked up in prison, and just like how he let him out, the climax of all that, just, I don't know. Because I wasn't fully buying into the aesthetic choices used in the fantasy sequences. Maybe I wasn't sold on the film so much that when the reveals started coming, I was like, okay, that happened. And I feel like with a better director and a little bit stronger of a script, this could have been excellent. Like, it had the right pieces. And I think Jim Carrey does a pretty good job. And I do think he's capable of giving an even better performance, absolutely. I mean, he's given some really, really great performances in his career. But yeah, ultimately this just kind of fell flat for me in a lot of those ways. And I like when he walks in on his son and he kind of covers for him. He's like, hold on, I want to stay out here and just kiss for a little bit and be romantic. And but if it was the daughter, if it was the other way around, he walked in on his daughter with a dude, it would have been like, what? It is, the double standard there is hilarious. The dad's like giving the fist bump to his kid. Although he does tell him, like, she's a nice girl, she better stay that way. So he is kind of warning him, but it would be a totally different story if it was the daughter instead. Now, the obsessive nature of seeing reoccurring things. I don't know if you guys have that happen, but I have that happen 100%. Now, what is this? Is this some, fated thing? Is this pure coincidence? Is this blue car syndrome where you bought a blue car, you never noticed one before, and now everybody has a blue car? That's what they call that, but obviously you can get more specific with it than that. But I do, and what my thing is I always see on the clock. I always see 11:34 or 1:34, which is upside down. If on like calculator type displays, it upside down, it spells hell. And forever, I've always, like, when I'm up late at night thinking about stupid shit like this, I'll say stuff like, well, I guess that the universe is trying to tell me that the path I'm going down is leading me to hell. Like, I'm still on the path to hell, and every time I see it, like, it's a reminder, no, the decisions you're making right now in your life are the decisions you make. And which is hilarious, because I don't even believe in hell. But it is what I think about every fucking time I see it, and I hate seeing it. I see it almost every single day. I don't think I ever miss an 11:34 or a 1:34. And I'm not even kidding, guys. I don't even have a clock in my house a lot of times, or like, where I live, or where I'm at or whatever, and I won't touch my phone for an hour sometimes, and I get this random urge to just grab my phone and click it, and it's 11:34, and it happens so fucking often, and I won't touch it forever. I won't even think, or 1:34 or whatever. And then also I see 666 everywhere, which of course is yet another number that's connected to hell or the devil or something. So I'm like, damn. But I am looking for them, So I don't know. Maybe I have some kind of clock in my head that tells me when it's about to turn 11:34, because you can do that. Like if you start training your brain, you start waking up. Like you don't even need an alarm clock. You start waking up at like 7 a.m. every fucking morning on your own. So you do think there's kind of an internal clock, and my brain's just set to that, and I just look for it. And of course, as I said, I'm looking for the numbers. But so I get it. I'm not anywhere near as obsessive as he is in this film, but I think we all have those things. So what's your thing? Let me know in the comments below. What's the thing you feel like you always see? And now, here's the question. How the fuck? This is something that was annoying me throughout the entire film. How the fuck did his wife read that book so fucking fast? And how he was just late to the bookstore because she had no prior knowledge that this was him, that he had this, whatever. She ran into him at the end outside the nut house that he was released from, and then they had the relationship, and she said she had no prior knowledge to it. How the fuck did she read this book in like 10 minutes of waiting for him, just standing there in a bookstore? This dude is obsessed with this book, is up all day and night looking through it, this and that. And he keeps coming to his wife throughout the film, and he's like, he starts talking to her about it. The first night he has the book, he's obsessing over it. And then he comes in and she's like, well, have you gotten here? And he's like, oh, well, I'm only on chapter 2. You're only on chapter 2? How fucking slow does this guy read? That he's only on chapter 2. And she's like, well, wait till you find out he's a murderer. And it's like, oh, thanks for spoiling the book, asshole. But she's essentially like, oh, well, I kind of thumbed through it or something. And it's like, she knew the whole book. She was like, oh, yeah, she finished it. Because she was talking about stuff towards the end. And I'm like, how did she read this whole book? And he is obsessing. Day in and day out, he's down in the basement. He's up in there. He's looking through this. He's, checking back and forth, going back. And somehow he's only like 30 pages in, halfway through the movie. And I'm like, what? That in the book is like this thick. It's so tiny. It's such a small little thing. It's like a freaking People magazine or something. And this guy can't get through it in a night, obsessing over it over and over and over again. I guess he's probably just reading the same page 50 times and trying to pull out anything he can. I don't know. And I like that that there is no chapter 23. The book just kind of ends on chapter 22. And it's like, well, what the hell? Where's chapter 23? Obviously being called, the book called the number 23, and then the story just cuts off. It's like almost a cliffhanger. It ends there without 20. I think that'd be a really cool gimmick for a book in reality. In fact, it'd be really cool if this book would have existed and accompanied the film when you bought it. It wasn't a super thick book, and it would have been pretty cool. And we kind of got to see almost the entire story, and a lot of it's narrated, so kind of follow the wording of the book. So it would have been cool, but of course the movie's nowhere near popular enough to warrant such a thing. And it is pretty wild, though, when he's going through all the numbers on, like, oh, Ted Bundy's this, and Al Capone's that, and this, and he's like, 23, 23, 20, he does it all, and the 0.666, and I don't know, all the 23 stuff is really interesting, I did find it to be pretty fascinating. Just all the things that added up to this, and that is obsession. Just even finding any of that kind of stuff out. Like, I'm sure that is the number 23 before this movie some kind of you know, urban legend kind of thing? Like, was this like pre creepypasta or something? Like, is this an actual obsession of people's? Is the number 23? It probably is, but I don't know. So yeah, Walter finds out that he wrote the book. He goes back to the hotel where he killed his girl, and he finds that he wrote chapter 23 on the wall. We find out that the old man that they found was the guy who found his stuff. Or, well, he didn't find his stuff, sorry. He was the doctor in the hospital and became obsessed with his work. Went and read his manuscript and then had it published for some odd reason. I don't know for what. I guess to put it out in the world and pass on the curse. That's the point of it, or something. And then the movie kind of turns into Shutter Island, but nowhere near as good as Shutter Island. Holy fuck, not even close. Shutter Island is fabulous. And I've always been kind of fascinated by that because everyone always tells, and not everybody, okay, that's ridiculous, but a few people I've talked to about that movie are like, well, it's cool because the ending's so ambiguous. And while I can understand why they say that, because technically I guess it is, but to me it's clear as day as what the ending is. Like, I don't see any argument to the contrary. Like, I see what the argument would be, but it isn't. Like, Shutter Island's ending to me is cut and dry. There is no fucking question. So I don't know why people say, anyway. But yeah, this kind of has that Shutter Island-esque ending, and it's, yeah, but this is way before it too. Oh no, about way before. Wait a minute, am I way off base there? What year is this movie anyways? This is the unrated version, 3 whole minutes longer. So what those 3 minutes are, I have no fucking clue. I can't find a date on this movie. I want to say it's in the early 2000s, but it actually kind of feels like a late 90s movie, but I don't think it is. I don't want to say it's like 2003. I don't know. I'm sure it's in this like little fine print, but I'm not going to make you guys wait any longer. Should have been 2023. To find out you were a killer, to find out like you have this totally normal life, and you're just going along about your way, and then some dog leaves you to a grave, and when you get and the dog like disappears, like he's freaking vanished into thin air and all this shit. That's what I'm talking about. What's a dog? What's up with that character? You know, what's up with that part of the movie? This is clearly something is happening here. The number 23 does matter. It is a curse or something, and he's not allowing himself to get away with the murder that he committed. And what was it that the old man? Why was the old man so fucked up? Like, what did he do? The doctor or whatever that took his manuscript and went and like read it through and saw all the connections. Like, what happened? I mean, what's so horrible about the number 23? You know, that's what I couldn't figure out in this. Like, yeah, they see the signs everywhere and the numbers all add up to 23, but so what? Like, if I was him, now, Jim Carrey or Walter in this is, you know, he's psychotic towards the end, but for me, it doesn't mean anything. Like, if it was counting down to the end of the world, or if it was, like, I just didn't see the point. It's like, oh, it plagues your life. It's a curse. It's this and that. Why? Like, okay, you know, fucking JFK's assassination and whatever. They all add up to 23. Okay. That's cool. I mean, that's crazy, but okay. And your name, it's all 23 and this and that. It's 23. Okay. Or it's 32, 23 backwards. Okay. Like, if somebody showed me all that shit, like, look at your name and this and that, I'd be like, wow, wow, that's cool. That's crazy. That's crazy. Wow, that is crazy. Okay. Anyway, Like, you want to go get pizza or something? Like, it wouldn't, I don't know. Like, I don't understand the obsession. And what the doctor that takes it, like, he can't help but just keep seeing the 23, 23, 23. It's like, okay, if you look hard enough, if you divide things by this and you press this and this one's plus this and this, like, yeah, you're going to see patterns and you're going to see similarities and whatever. But so what? That's what I'm not understanding in this movie. Who gives a shit? You know? Am I crazy? Am I way off base here? Am I missing something? I don't see the point. So I think that when he went to prison, he should have been sentenced to 23 years. I think that would have been funny, but that wasn't there. Also, another thing this movie commits, a bad thing that it is that there's a ton of sex in the movie. Like, the movie's very sexual. His fucking fingerling character, who's finger banging lots of chicks in this movie. The sex scenes are not sexy, A, and B, where's the nudity? Where's the sensuality? Where is the, artistic flavor? Where, like, the sex scenes are so dull, but there's a lot of them. Why not cast a chick that's got a rad body and you can have these, like, really super sexual sequences that are sexy, and they're just all lame sex scenes, And Jim Carrey's tattoos look fake as fuck. So, I don't know. Like, none of that shit worked for me. So, why no sexiness in the sex scenes? I don't get it. His girlfriend killing him, I think this is just to kind of validate his character or some sort. She eggs his ass on to kill her. Now, should you kill somebody who's egging you on and this and that? No. No, it's not a good thing, of course. But they gotta make her a horrible character so that we don't hate, I guess, our main dude here. But she is egging his ass on. And then, yeah, the old man and the dog at the cemetery, like, what purpose I don't fucking know. I don't know. And I guess, yeah, his doctor was keeping a close eye on him the whole time, but, like, I don't know. Like, he has no memory of his past and what he was doing and all of that. Like, he just went back to his normal life, and, like, what? He just went back thinking that when he left there, he didn't have any memory of being there. And so when he went and got a life, when his employer and his bank accounts and all those things aren't overdue, and was he declared dead? Like, he would have had to have got himself out of that and got a job, and, like, where the hell you been for the last year or whatever. I don't know. I'm probably thinking way too much on that. And wait, what? If he killed himself, dude would... Oh, yeah. So when he steps out in front of the bus, if he would have killed himself, then that dude would have rotted in prison. So he does do the good thing. He saves himself so that he can put himself in prison and let that dude out who was genuinely innocent, and that was pretty cool. And his wife has serious confidence in him in this movie. She, like, lets him put a knife to his throat. You wouldn't kill me. Really? You're gonna play that game? Fuck, you have got faith in this guy. But I mean, she was right. I'm not sure that makes it okay, but she was right. How much do you love your spouse? Are you sure that after you find out that they've killed in the past and they've had psychotic breaks and that they're having one currently, you'd let them put a fucking knife to your throat? Would you? I don't know if that's trust or stupidity, but she loves him, and he goes to jail, and at the end, of course, he's not fully better. He's still seeing signs. That's his thing. So, Well, there you go, Peter. Overall, not a movie I care for all that much, but I bought a copy for you. I went on eBay and I bought a copy, and there you go, buddy. So number 23. All right. You have other films. I'll get to them soon. I get to a lot of them real quick. So, all right. Adios.